2022 regulatory framework for public finance in Ghana. In this session and the next two sessions, we'll be taking a look at some portions of the conceptual framework of public finance. Thus, we'll be looking at some sessions of the International Public Sector Accounting Standard, which is a conceptual framework that governs reporting in the public sector. Now, coming from 2015, the government of Ghana adopted the use of this standard as the IFSAS in reporting the public sector space. Just like we have a reporting standard or standard that governs accounting in the private sector, this IFSAS also governs reporting and accounting in public sector entities. So we'll be looking at some of the frameworks and some guidelines in the public sector accounting and public finance conceptual framework. In this session, we will focus on the objectives and the uses of the public financial statements of the public sector entities. That's the main objectives as per the standards and also some uses of the financial statements of public sector entities. In this session, we will be covering these particular areas. We are hoping that by the time we finish this particular session, we should be able to demonstrate an understanding of the meaning of the conceptual framework for general purpose financial reporting of public entities. We should be able to explain the objectives of the general purpose public sector financial report and also identify and explain the information needs of users of general purpose financial report for the public sector. So by the end, we hope that each and every one of us will be able to look at these particular sessions and clearly give an appreciation or understanding to what we will be discussing. Let's start by understanding some key concepts in the standards or per the conceptual framework, that's the International Public Sector Accounting Standard. So first, let's look at what conceptual framework itself may be. So we could explain a conceptual framework to be the foundation or the theoretical structure that governs how public sector entities should report their financial account or their financials. So the conceptual framework just gives a form of a background or gives a framework for which these entities are supposed to report. So that's the main purpose of the conceptual framework, to give that foundation for us or for the public sector entities to develop their financial report and to report using the foundations as their basis. So then we also look at the definition for general purpose financial report. I think the general purpose financial report are financial reports intended to meet the information needs of users who are unable to acquire the preparation of financial reports tailored to meet their specific information needs. So for general purpose financial report, it is for the entire public. That is to say, each and everyone who is not able to seek or request for specific information from the financial report. The general purpose financial report actually serves your need because you are in no position to request for any special information. So in terms of financials, the only information available to you is the general purpose financial report. So it meets the information needs of users who are unable to acquire the preparation of financial reports tailored to meet their specific information needs. Let's then look at the objectives of general purpose financial report as per the standard. So the main objectives of the general purpose financial report are the very first one being accountability. So the general purpose financial report is to ensure that these public sector entities actually give account of their responsibility. They were given some responsibility and then authority by the people who actually put them into these places. So they are supposed to provide this general report financial report in order for the people to know what these entities and their leaders have been up to. Okay, so the next one is also to aid in decision making. So general report financial report helps the users to make informed decisions. So in terms of investment and cutting down cost and also restructuring, the financial reports helps users to actually know that's shareholders to be specific, or the government to be specific, to know where to restructure, where to improve, and if there is the need to cut off some portion of the operations, where to cut off. Okay. So we can then look at the uses of the general purpose financial report. The very first users, as we have in public finance, are the resource providers. As the name suggests, resource providers, they are the people who actually provide the resources needed by by the public sector entities. So those who provide resources for the public sector entities are those that we term as the resource providers. Then we have the service recipients. So people who depend on the public sector entities for services. These are the service recipients of the general purpose like financial reports. We also have the representatives of the service recipients, such as the legislature, including members of parliament. We have other parties, including the government, state media, financial advice, and co. So these are some users of the general purpose financial report. We also have the regulatory and oversight bodies like subcommittees of parliament. So mostly in parliament, a committee like the finance committee or the public accounts committee are responsible for ensuring that these public sector entities give account or accountable for any resources that they take during some period or during the period. So it helps the financial report or the general report financial report help these committees to actually know the kind of questions or to know them, help them in asking these public sector entities on accountability issues. Okay. The other users also has to be the entity management, the management of these entities. They also need the financial report to make some form of decisions. If they are performing or not performing. It is the financial reporting or the financial report that helps them know whether they are performing. And also rating agencies need the reports in order to aid them in their analysis and also come up with ratings. Okay, so we can look at some information needs of service recipients and then the resource providers. So these people are interested in the liquidity and solvency of the public sector if the public sector entities actually have funds to pay off any debt that is due, and also if the public sector entity is sustainable, if it will be able to sustain its operation over the long term. Also, if the capacity of the entity to adapt to any changing circumstances that may affect its service delivery. So these people, the service recipients and the providers, are interested in these informations. Information provided by so these are some information which are provided by the general purpose financial report. The first one being the financial position, which gives the position of that entity. So it actually tells us where the entity is in terms of um, their assets and also how much they owe. Also, we also have the financial performance, which tells us how the entities are performing in terms of profitability. Are they doing well in terms of profitability? Then cash flow helps us know the actual cash that the entity has at that point in time. Also, non-financial information such as the compliance with approved budget. So here we're able to compare their actuals to the budget to know how much was realized and how much wasn't realized, and if there has been an overspending of budget and others. Also, budget and compliance with legislation. So these are all other information that are provided by the general purpose financial report of the public sector entities. We can then look at some accounting basis that the standard provides for public sector entities. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have the accrual basis, which the standard recommends for public sector entities to use accrual basis instead of the cash basis. The whole idea is that the accrual basis actually gives a true picture of all the activities or the transactions that went on during that particular year relating to the entity. So accrual, it takes into account all transactions, whether it has been paid or hasn't been paid for. But for cash, it only takes into account transactions which deals with cash or has been paid for or was paid. So if there has been any accrual in terms of owing, the cash basis will not record it, and that will not give a true picture of the entire transaction that the entity had undertaken during the period. So this brings us to the end of this session, that's session 3 of unit 2. So in this session, we have actually learned the meaning of the conceptual framework of financial reporting, the objectives of preparing the financial report, the meaning of the general report financial statement, the uses of this general report financial report, uses of the public sector financial information, and the specific information needs and the basis for reporting in the public sector. So these basically the summary of what we have actually gone through in this session. So we can have some few minutes to recap on what we discussed in this session.